Los Angeles serial killer Lonnie Franklin, dubbed the Grim Sleeper, has died in prison.
Franklin died yesterday at San Quentin State Prison.
I'm going to use the example of a particular type of serial killer / rapist, because not all of them have the same reasoning behind doing the things that they do. Just like with everything else, me and you, we might be doing the same thing, but we may have different reasons for doing it. But there's a particular kind of serial murderer / rapist whose reasoning for murdering and raping is that they're beautifying the neighborhood by getting rid of those eyesores called hookers and dope fiends. They're cleaning up the community. This is what they'll tell themselves. Now, what Ron DeSantis did a few weeks ago is along the same lines of that same reasoning when he said this.
The controversy over Florida's new education standards is intensifying after Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill called the Stop Woke Act last year. The changes include teaching middle schoolers that some enslaved people actually benefited from slavery because it taught them skills.
I didn't do it, and I wasn't involved in it.
Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis tried to distance himself from the curriculum controversy, but it didn't work.
I didn't do it, and I'm not involved in it, are not the words of leadership.
Florida's new history teaching guidelines, approved last week, stem from a 2022 law Governor DeSantis called the Stop Woke Act.
Governor DeSantis started this fire with the bill that he signed.
The new standards say Florida students should be taught about the harsh conditions slaves endured, but also about how slaves developed skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit.
They're probably going to show some of the folks that eventually parlayed, being a blacksmith into doing things later in life.
Where you use something as bad as slavery and you try to get people to see the sweet, wholesome goodness in it.
I want to do that too.
All right. Part of the reasoning that slavers used for bringing Africans over here was that they were bringing them to Christ and getting them away from that heathen god Allah. Christ is better for them here because over there it was Islam. And of course not everywhere, but in some places, yeah, it was Allah. But I don't bring that up to suggest that DeSantis is a serial murderer / rapist, nor did I bring that up because I care to talk about racism or slavery. I bring up Ron reminding us of the political benefits of slavery to once again talk about how we got Joe. On my other channel, I've done about 5 or 6 videos talking about how we got Joe, and I might upload a few of them onto this channel. Now, how we got Joe. Well, one of the reasons is that mindset that we heard from DeSantis. And it's not just the mindset. The mindset is one thing, but when the attitude matches the mindset, that's another thing. What do I mean by that? Well, one of the ways that we got Joe is that conservatives have zero regard for the constituency of the opposing party. Because for DeSantis to think that is one thing, but for him to say it out loud, that's another thing. It says, I don't respect y'all, nor am I concerned about getting you to come over to my side. It says, I'm perfectly fine with the crowd that I have. No regard for the other side that tore America into itty-bitty pieces a few years ago. Now, we all know, or some of us do, we know that people vote according to what? Policy, right?
Wrong.
Now, the policy voters are the few, while everybody else votes according to habit, custom, tradition, and tribalism, us against them. Republicans care not for swaying the minds of others and trying to obtain a new pool of voters to the Republican Party. They still think that the blatant demonic activity of the Democratic Party would be enough to sway people, and it should, but not when people are feeling based rather than policy. Custom, tradition, habit, and tribal. And how we got Joe is very important because nobody liked Joe Biden but hated Trump more than they disliked Joe Biden. I was one of them. I'm still one of them. Trump had to go no matter what. Republicans, conservatives, right-wingers, card carrier or not, and I got to say it like that, card carrier or not, because some people think that they're not Republicans because they're not a registered Republican or because they don't walk around with a shirt on that says, I'm a Republican.
Republicans!
Fuck you, Democrats! Conservatism is a mindset. It's a matter of perspective concerning social matters, and you don't need no hat on that says it. It's a mentality. Fuck you, Democrats! Fuck you, Democrats! Fuck you, Democrats! We fucking Democrats! Now, the other day, no, it was yesterday. Yesterday, somebody said, and I'll put a name on somebody, but right now his name is somebody. Yesterday, somebody said that he suspects that there will be another George Floyd coming soon. And he mentioned that in regards to Democrats possibly using that to win the election. But there is something about that he and the other people like him miss. And they miss it for the same reason DeSantis misses it. Now, what he suspects it is possible. And a few months ago, someone who was in Carlin's chat room proposed something similar, but they said, next, it might be a trans person to get George Floyded. And that's possible. Now, an example of the mentality matching the attitude, or the mentality revealing itself in the attitude. The thing that happened in Canada with the convoy. You can't let people see those Nazi flags. You can't do that. They sent the cops right in there to bust up that movement as soon as they saw them flags. Just the excuse they were looking for. Conservatives handed it to them on the silver platter. When at first Trudeau couldn't do nothing. Nazi flag, go in there and get them. And even if the Nazis in that crowd were government ops, the point is still, you can't be talking about the benefits of slavery. But back to somebody. A while back I talked about something that somebody did, but I couldn't remember the word that he used when I talked about it. And he was talking about Eric Gardner, and he said that Eric Gardner didn't get choked to death. He used another word. I couldn't remember what it was though, but I talked about it anyway. And not too long ago, somebody used that word again, and I got it this time. The subway incident where a man wasn't choked to death, but something else to death. This is somebody.
You hear what I'm telling you? They don't know. They have no idea. We have a guy here. This Marine, his name is Penny. Sounds like a Wild West name, isn't it? Will Penny or something like that. Anyway, he's this Marine who choked. They say it's a choke, but it was a carotid restraint.
Carotid restraint is the word that I couldn't remember. Lionel did it again. It described a man as a hero who choked a man to death. Hero was the exact word that Lionel used. A couple of titles of two of the videos Lionel did about the guy. Here's one. The case of my latest hero. Here's another. How they'll convict the Marine hero of manslaughter. Carotid restraint. The benefits of slavery. George Floyd died of a drug overdose, not the knee on his neck. There wasn't an insurrection on January 6th, and so on and so on. But something that Lionel doesn't get about his suspicion that there will be another George Floyd. Now, for months, Lionel has been on this channel trying to rally Republicans to acquire votes from the other side. But what Lionel, DeSantis, and the other side don't get is that people can hear them. Hero, carotid restraint, benefits of slavery, and all those other things that conservatives like to do reminds people that Republicans are still the enemy. Something else that conservatives don't get is that if there is another George Floyd to sway the election, it will be the reaction of conservatives that people will use as fuel. Reactions to things like, it was a carotid restraint, drug overdose killed George Floyd, Trayvon Martin was a thug, officers not guilty of beating Rodney King. No, Sandra Bland actually did hang herself in that cell. I remember conservatives saying that there was no proof of foul play in the Sandra Bland case. I remember that. Again, it's one thing to have a certain mindset, but it's another to have an attitude to match. And one of the reasons Trump is into trouble right now is because he refuses to keep his big stupid mouth shut. Defiant will just say anything they think, no respect nor regard for their opponents. That's how we got Joe, and because of the attitude of conservatives, we might get Joe himself again, or somebody worse. And some Republicans, the ones with one wise brain cell left in their skulls, are keeping 1,000 miles away from Trump, and they get attacked. They get attacked like, how dare you not stand by Trump's foolishness and folly and self-destructive behavior? How dare you? You're not Republicans, you're rhinos, Republicans in name only. They even frown on Republicans wise enough to know that you can't keep pissing people off. And Democrats are a lot better at fooling people while Republicans continue to think that they don't need to. That's why Dickhead didn't mind talking out loud about the benefits of slavery.